Problems of exploitation. And deprivation. Scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. Now, the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes are historically exploited and deprived, who faced multifaceted challenges in social, economic, and political aspects of life. And this exploitation and deprivation can be seen in many folds of life. So you can say like historical roots of exploitation. Economic deprivation. Educational deprivation. Social discrimination, social deprivation. Then political marginalization. And health deprivation. So historically, if you see that this scheduled castes and Dalits are and even like scheduled tribes are discriminated. The scheduled castes are also known as are called as Dalits, and there was not only discrimination but also untouchability, which actually like resulted in a generational poverty and discrimination. So this has been continuing since times immemorial in the Indian society. As a result, they were deprived of education or positions of power or even access to several public places. And obviously, in order to correct this historical injustice, there were some affirmative and protective actions and also some constitutional safeguards by the government, which tries to address this historical injustice done to these marginalized and vulnerable sections of the society. Even today also they remain to be vulnerable in different parts of the country, particularly in rural areas. Economic deprivation, as I said, they have like lack of assets, landlessness, lack of employment, even wage disparities and other things obviously deprive them economically. And once someone is economically deprived, the life chances or life opportunities or betterment aspects are usually curtailed. This remains the same thing even today also. Whoever economic aspects, like we're talking about scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other backward classes, but this economic deprivation is the worst form, not only with them but also with the other castes also. Whoever are economically deprived will obviously be deprived of other things also, and that is why maybe in order to address such economic deprivation among non-SC and non-other backward classes, they have come up with the EWS, economically weaker sections, I think. Educational deprivation. Now, like even in the past and today, most of these sections of the people, because of low income and other things, they are sending their children to government schools where education is grossly compromised, and as a result there are higher dropout rates and low level of literacy among these sections of the society. Social deprivation, as I said, atrocities, discrimination, violence, all these things are continuing even today. And you can see some in urban areas there is a kind of residential segregation also, and in rural areas the subtle forms of untouchability and discrimination still persist. So social deprivation is also there. Political marginalization, even though some reservations were created for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, their representation is just symbolic, and they are not in positions of power which can influence policy making and implementation and address the needs of these vulnerable sections of the society. Yes. Then health deprivation, obviously they are living in places which lack basic amenities, poor hygiene, sanitation, poor nutrition. Health is not proper even today. So these are some problems of exploitation and deprivation of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So in order to address these kind of things, we have like constitutional safeguards and various programs, policies and schemes for the betterment of these sections of the society, isn't it? So once we will see this one, then we will see the constitutional safeguards also, and we will finish it off. Put the heading problems of exploitation. So what is the difference between exploitation and deprivation? So exploit. Pradeep, discrimination is of two types, like positive discrimination and negative discrimination. Now, if I say negative discrimination, that is maybe refraining or restricting the freedom or the rights of an individual, isn't it? That is negative discrimination, or maybe like belittling or lowering the status and prestige of an individual will come under negative discrimination. That means intolerance, abuse, untouchability, all these are, or lack of access to resources, whether public or some other thing comes under discrimination. Positive discrimination is done by the government by giving them some reservations or by means of certain acts and programs and policies. That is positive discrimination. Maybe reservations in education or employment can be seen as a positive discrimination of the government. You get my point. But we can't say from an individual perspective that I am positively discriminating and negatively discriminating. So the discrimination is that thing. Exploitation. From discrimination comes exploitation. So maybe exploitation is the second degree. So there should be a basis for exploitation, no? Like maybe one cannot, like maybe a group or a society cannot even think about exploitation of a dominant caste, because they are in positions of power, they have high economic assets, huge land holdings, so on and so forth. So discrimination will lead to exploitation. Exploitation is totally depriving them. You get my point? Deprivation from all these sources, isn't it? So discrimination leads to exploitation. As a result of exploitation, deprivation, isn't it? So that is the thing. So discrimination, exploitation, deprivation. When exploited, then only they will be deprived. No? So one thing is leading to another thing. Maybe that is the chain of events and chain of sequence. And there are a number of examples from past to present, and you can find these different stages. You get my point? Maybe discrimination at school, maybe from the fellow classmates or friends, or maybe teachers or administration or management, leads to the exploitation of an individual. Then deprivation of education. It all started from discrimination. You get my point? And this discrimination is a deeply rooted thing which is in the society, and it comes from social hierarchies only, isn't it? As I said earlier also, social hierarchy is either class based or caste based. In other parts of the world it is mostly class based. In India it is both class based and caste based, but caste based hierarchy and discrimination is more than class based. You get my point? So this is deeply embedded in the social hierarchy of our society. So this is what discrimination, exploitation, deprivation. Yes. Now discrimination, again, if I take an example of an individual who would want to visit maybe a public place like maybe a hospital, discrimination. If the person is not allowed or maybe discriminated as a Dalit or someone and not treated at par, it will lead to exploitation and as a result deprivation of their health condition. Even access to public area, you can fit any example here. Public spaces like temple entry, some places they are not allowed to temple, maybe land disputes, obviously Dalits or these people are on receiving end, maybe intercaste marriages, then also they are on receiving end. Any social issue, they are on receiving end, isn't it? Even if they are challenging the norms, traditional norms of the society, even then they are on the receiving end. Where you can ask, this is a common thing in rural areas, and discrimination, deprivation, exploitation, all these things has become a social norm. So that is why in many books you can read that this exploitation and deprivation has become a norm of the society. It is a common thing. It will be uncommon if someone is not like if it is going against discrimination or exploitation. Otherwise, it's a social norm. A very unfortunate thing. You get my point? Less in urban areas, very prevalent in rural areas. In urban areas also it depends on various aspects. You get my point? So that is why it is expected that someone is economically empowered, it automatically empowers the other areas, like maybe economic empowerment, maybe because of various policies, programs and schemes. Maybe they are educated and they establish a business or something, they are giving employment, and when they are giving employment, they can remember about Khons of Orissa, because they are having large agricultural land holdings. Even though they are tribal, the neighboring caste people are considering them as a dominant caste. The same thing happens. So economic empowerment is very important, because economy forms the backbone of any society, and even a lineage, clan, or maybe an individual. If someone is economically well to do, obviously they come out of several clutches of the society. It hardly matters for them whether they are these kind of things are prevailing or not. You get my point? So that is the sequence, and any question related to anything that we have discussed, you can ask online students. Yes, you are thinking to. Thank
Exploitation is the process, deprivation is the result.
you. Maybe you can say it's a means to an end. Yes or no? Is a means to an end. So this is a means. Outcome is that one, isn't it? Cause, consequence. Yes. Please write. You can take down this one. No new notes, sir. Cannot be sufficient. Please write. Due to multifaceted problems, due to multifaceted problems of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes, face great challenges, face great challenges in social, economic, and political spheres of life. Discrimination, exploitation, and deprivation is a complex sociological phenomena, deeply embedded in the social hierarchies, deeply embedded in the social hierarchies. Put the side heading, historical roots of exploitation. Due to concepts like purity and impurity, polluting and non-polluting occupations, these scheduled SCs, STs, and other backward classes were considered as inferior, and were discriminated. Discrimination and untouchability resulted in generational poverty and injustice to these weaker sections of, or in these weaker sections of the society. Generational poverty and discrimination, generational poverty and injustice to these weaker sections of the society, Next, economic deprivation. Historically, these sections of society suffered from landlessness, lack of assets, and even wage disparities, depriving them economically. Lack of proper employment, and poverty is very high among these sections of the society. See, even today, I think in one of the recent news I have seen, the rag pickers will be there, no? Like who collect this kachra, and rag pickers we could call, no? So rag pickers, 90% of the rag pickers in the country are from scheduled caste. You get my point? So that is the reality even today. In most of the countries. So that is continuing in one form or the other even today. And those who are fighting to cancel this reservations and other things, people have to understand these kind of issues are still prevailing. You get my point? The same happens with other menial jobs which are otherwise very difficult to think of. You get my point? That is the situation in even metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, everywhere. Very shocking, no? Yes or no? Next one, educational deprivation. Children of these weaker sections are generally sent to government schools and colleges where quality of education is poor. Therefore, there are high dropout rates from schools, and lower admissions and lesser admissions in higher education. Higher education. Due to educational deprivation, their employment opportunities also get affected. Even though reservations were provided It was only in government sector, but not in private sector. Government sector than private sector, rather than private sector. See, government sector, yes, some reservations are there, so you can see like scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, backward classes. You can see like minorities and others who are represented in terms of their population, depending on the population, their reservation. Like say for example, 8.60% of the total population is scheduled tribes. So they are given a reservation of 7.5%. So depending on the percentage of population to the total population, the reservation is given. Sometimes it gets skewed, and there are certain aspects related to providing reservations to as many communities as possible. So that's a different thing. So in government sector, yes, definitely they are represented. But in private sector, obviously, because if they are educated in government schools or maybe colleges and they have a poor quality of education, it is quite obvious that their skills and competencies are quite low and are unable to compete with the people who have studied in good schools and colleges, isn't it? So private sector underrepresentation, definitely. Like maybe if people from government schools and people from coming from good schools attend interview, the chances of rejection are quite high, isn't it? Who will select? It's a brutal reality, isn't it? So in private sector also there needed to be some reservations so that their economy will get, their income levels will improve, livelihood will improve, and through that they can send their children to good schools and colleges. Or other way, like making or improving the quality of education in government schools and colleges is much better. You get my point. Nowadays, sending children to schools have become a status symbol also. No government officer or no government servant or civil servant, in whatever capacity, maybe clerk or collector or maybe politician, will never send their children to government schools. Very rarely you can quote 1% or less than 1% of the people who actually wanted to give show their confidence in government schools and colleges. Only they will send like less than 1%. You get my point. But majority are sending to good schools and colleges. Here also it is a status symbol. To sending to schools which have more fees, or maybe like old schools which are very reputed, become a status symbol, isn't it? Like, and even school education is not less. Intense competition, highly costly. For most of them, unaffordable also. Because if you are talking about good schools, at least per month, minimum to minimum 10,000 per month, 1,20,000. If 2 children are there, 2,40,000. Like in other places, it could be even more higher, isn't it? Not apart from school expense, there would be like several other expenses. So one way is to improve government schools and colleges and gain the trust and confidence of everyone, so that they are inclined to send their children to government schools and colleges, or make education affordable. That goes against several other economic repercussions can be there, isn't it? So one thing leads to another thing, and in short we can say that everything has to be improved, isn't it? And we all started, it actually started with reservations in private sector, because in private sector you could hardly come across these kind of people unless until they are from IIT, science or good colleges, or somehow they have more skills and competencies, or they have skills and competencies at par with others. Otherwise we are only seeing government jobs, but we are not seeing here. You get my point. So educational deprivation, employment deprivation, reservations in government sector but not in private sector, again roots back to economic deprivation. Is a vicious cycle. Maybe this deprivation, this obviously, like, this is a vicious cycle, isn't it? Next one, social deprivation. Social deprivation. Cultural marginalization, discrimination, are often considered to be normal social norms. Are often considered to be normal social norms. Or these are simply normalized, simply in bracket normalized, discrimination or normalized. Lack of access to public places, residential segregation, is a common thing, in most of the places. Untouchability, even though prohibited, is present in subtle forms, in rural areas. These weaker sections of the society are often on the receiving end. Weaker sections of the society are often on the receiving end in land disputes, intercaste marriages, and challenging the norms of and challenging the existing norms of the society. The social discrimination and atrocities even lead to violence towards these marginalized and vulnerable sections of the society. Marginalized and vulnerable sections of the society. Next one, political marginalization. Even though reservations increase their representation in panchayats, municipalities, Vidhan Sabhas and Lok Sabha, Their representation is often symbolic, often symbolic, and their occupation and they are present in places which do not have power, As a result, their voices remain unheard and unaddressed. This adversely affects policy making and its implementation. Next one, health deprivation. These weaker sections live in places which lack basic amenities, unclean and unhygienic places, lack of proper sanitation, access to clean drinking water, access to affordable healthcare services, poor nutrition, deprives them of health. Next paragraph you write. In spite of various constitutional safeguards, affirmative actions, protective discrimination, and various other initiatives a lot of scope for improvement and empowerment of these weaker sections, still persists. Policy interventions, change in societal attitude, and inclusive development is therefore the need of the hour. of the art. Yes. If I am telling also you are not able to understand, if I am writing also you are not able to. What is this? Ranjit. Rajinder. Rajdeep. Yes. Yes, Rajdeep. So this is about it. Now we will see constitutional safeguards. Scheduled caste, and it applies to other backward classes also. See the handout of the topic which we have discussed just now, and this one will be provided tomorrow, about the complete article. We will see what are the constitutional safeguards and what they are, or what is their meaning we can see. Now these constitutional safeguards can be classified into social safeguards, economic safeguards, educational and cultural safeguards, political safeguards, service safeguards, and special safeguards. So maybe social safeguards, you know, Article 17, Article 23, Article 24. So 17 is abolishing untouchability. This prevents human trafficking, prevents employment in hazardous areas or places. Children of age 6 to 14 years, I think you know this, isn't it? Then you have economic safeguards. So in economic safeguards you have Article 46, Directive Principles of State Policy, which promotes economic and educational aspects of weaker section. Then you have educational and cultural, so you have Article 15(4), so reservation in institutions. And then you have Article 29(1), so protect distinct culture, language, script. And then Article 350A, instruction in mother tongue. So these are some educational and cultural safeguards. Then you have political safeguards. So political safeguards, you know, Article 243D, 243T, Article 330, Article 332. So 243, reservation in panchayats, reservation in municipalities. This is in Lok Sabha and this is in Vidhan Sabha, isn't it? Then after political safeguards, you have some service safeguards which creates reservation in government sector, like Article 16(1), which is equal opportunities. Article 16(4), reservation in government jobs. And Article 335, appointments in higher position, and to ensure better administration. So these are service safeguards. Then you have some special safeguards like Article 244(1), fifth schedule. Article 244(2), sixth schedule. Article 338 was earlier introduced. Article 338A, which created National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. These are constitutional bodies. And then you have Article 371A, B, C, and F. These are for administration of Nagaland, Assam, Manipur, and this is Sikkim. So these are some aspects related to the constitutional safeguards. From these provisions only, government will make certain initiatives, plans, programs, or maybe acts or policies based on the directions which are present here, because you can see some of them are in fundamental rights, some of them are in directive principles of state policy, and they are spread across different places, isn't it? So these are broadly the constitutional safeguards. You can write something about it. Put the heading constitutional safeguards for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. In order to address the historical injustice of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes, certain constitutional safeguards, or otherwise right, like other certain safeguards were enshrined in the Constitution of India. Certain safeguards were enshrined in the Constitution of India. In order to empower them, socially, economically, and politically. These constitutional safeguards can be classified into right in one line: social safeguards, economic, educational and cultural, political, then service special. Social safeguards. Put the side heading social safeguards. Article 17. Article 17. Abolishes untouchability. Article 23 prevents trafficking. Article 24 prevents employment of children 16 to 14 years of age in hazardous areas or places. Prevents employment of children 6 to 14 years of age in hazardous areas or places. Next, economic safeguards. Article 46 of DPSP promotes economic and educational interests, economic and educational interests of weaker sections. Promote economic and educational interests of weaker sections. Then educational and cultural safeguards. Article 15(4) provides for reservation in educational institutions. Educational institutions. Article 29(1) protect and conserve distinct culture, language and script. Article 350A promotes instruction in mother tongue. Instruction in mother tongue. Political safeguards. Article 243 reservation in panchayats, 243T reservation in municipalities or municipal bodies. Then you are able to see there no reservation in those Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Yes. Service safeguards. Article 16(1) equality of opportunity. (16)(4) reservation in government jobs. And Article 335 deals with appointments in higher posts or appointments to higher positions or posts ensuring efficiency in administration. That's the clause.
Appointment.
In higher positions and ensuring efficiency in administration. Article 244(1), fifth schedule areas provision. Fifth schedule areas.
Special safeguards.
Next one, special safeguards. Special safeguards. Article 244(1), fifth schedule areas. I think they are there in 10 states where you have PESA, Panchayat Extension of Scheduled Act. 6 schedule areas, what are they? No, only 4, not northeastern states. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. Isn't it? So which are not some which are absent here are present here, like Nagaland, Assam is there here, Manipur is not there, Sikkim is not there. You get my point? Arunachal Pradesh has different provisions. So there are some variations which you need to understand. Article 241, fifth schedule, Article 244(2), 6 scheduled areas, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura and Mizoram. Article 338A, I think through 83rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2003, it created National Commission of Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. 338A created National Commission for Scheduled Caste, National Commission for Scheduled Tribe. Earlier, both are same. Under 338A, you have National Commission for Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes. 2 commissions were made after that. Next, Article 371A, special provisions for administration of Nagaland, then Assam, Manipur and Sikkim. Assam, Manipur and Sikkim. 371A, B, C, F. 371A, 371B, C and then F. Nagaland, Assam, Manipur and Sikkim. Special provisions for administration. State of Nagaland, likewise you can write. Yes, you successfully completed? So no, in the same book only completed. Very good. Okay, that is more or less about today's class. Tomorrow we'll see 7.2 and we'll complete it. Today's question you can write. What you will write? Give an account of various acts and policies for tribal administration before independence and after independence. Before independence and after independence, 20 marks.